Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Uvaro Demo Days All-Star Edition. We have such a fun lineup set up for us today. This is going to be a hoot. I want to go through some quick introductions, a little bit of housekeeping, and then for all of you on YouTube, we're going to invite you in to the Zoom room to actually enjoy this conversation. So first off, we have an all-star panel of competitors, but we have an all-star panel of judges. I'm going to pull their faces and names up here, and in a moment, I'll get them to introduce themselves. But you are going to have some fantastic questions, fantastic feedback for our competitors. You've been through this before, but this is a next level engagement. This is going to be a really, really good time. For those of you on YouTube and wondering who is competing, I would love to introduce you to our panel of competitors. These are all Uvaro grads. They're in the field. They're coming back to show off their skills and what they've been selling. We have Néhémie, Jame, Tanpreet, and Ezra. For those of you who think this is the order they're competing in, it's not. They don't yet know. So we're keeping the pressure nice and high. In a moment, we'll be giving a heads up to our first competitor, but let me go over the house rules so you know what to expect. I know we've got 2 hours on the clock. We're going to get you out nice and early, but let's cover some of the house rules there. First off, if you are joining us in Zoom, would ask that for the most part, you keep yourself muted because background noise can be a huge distraction, and out of respect for the competitors, we want to keep that on. Again, if you're in the Zoom room, keep your cameras on. If you want to keep them off, that's great. The flickering on and off, again, can be distracting for the competitors, so ask that you keep some good Zoom etiquette. A good reminder that we are going to pose some challenging questions, but this is a space to build up. We're building and launching careers, so let's keep constructive feedback in mind. And while catcalling is always welcome, let's keep it to their sales acumen and keep us focused. For our competitors, a couple of reminders. Be sure to say your name, what you're selling, and who you're selling it to. A, that helps the judges. B, when we give shortcuts to these YouTube clips, it makes it way easier for people to know who they're actually seeing on these videos. You're also going to have 15 minutes. You will be cut off. So watch for that sound, because if you get hit with that, we're going to cut you off right there. After each presentation, there'll be 2 minutes for the judges to end their scores. We'll also let the next competitor know who's up, so they've got a little bit of time to prep. And at the very end, we will be sharing feedback and crowning the champion. We've covered the bases. I think we're in a good spot to get going. So for those in Zoom, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then for those who are joining us via YouTube, I am going to invite you into Zoom in just a moment. There we go. So here we are. We've got the crew. We'd like to get things started. Let's start off with some introductions. So first off, for our judges, in the same order we had you in the slides, I'll invite you in. Could you help everyone with your name, your company, and what your firm does? Chris, can you kick us off?
Yeah, happy to. So Chris Von Hewen, or CVH for short. I work for Prodigal Technologies, so it's a voice analytics platform for the collection industry.
Nice. Bilal, can you help us out next?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Loud and clear.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm really excited for this. I'm more nervous, I think, than the competitors. I'm so antsy to get going. But really short about me, I'm a serial startup guy. I've been a part of 6 different startups, one of the first, if not the first sales hire at all of them. I run the Death to Fluff community, which is just for sellers, by sellers, in support of sellers. Never for companies. We're always pro-employee, not pro-employer. You should check it out if you get a chance, and find me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Drew, you're up next.
Just got off the red carpet for this special Uvaro All-Stars edition. Super excited to be here once again. Drew Williams from salesplaybookbuilder.com. I help founders transition out of founder-led sales, building sales playbooks, and bringing on those first, second, third sales reps. So good luck to everybody out there.
Fantastic. Now we're about 2 minutes with the last couple of intros, so I'm going to give a quick heads up to our first competitor, and then we'll get our next 3 judges to introduce themselves. So first up will be Ezra. Ezra, you got 2 minutes to get yourself organized. But to continue our introductions for our judges, Reed, can you kick us off next?
Yeah, I'm Reed Anderson. I'm an account executive over at PandaDoc, still at the office, as you can see. And we're all about digital documents, proposals, contracts, e-signature, pretty much everything under the sun in that area of things.
Awesome. James, you're up next.
Get off mute there. I am James Buckley. I work with John Barrows. I am a sales trainer and coach. I help salespeople break through the noise, get attention, gain some interest, and maybe create an opportunity. So my job is to come out and help people sell better. That's literally what we do every day, day in and day out. I also say inappropriate things commonly, so look for that. Thanks a lot. I appreciate being here. This is awesome.
We're looking forward to the inappropriate comments. We got to
Say
keep
what?
it real. I know. Sales calls aren't supposed to be easy. Let's make sure we keep it tough. Mark, can you bring us home on the intros?
I sure can. I'm Mark Petruzzi. I'm with N3. We are a part of an Accenture for about the past month. They've recently acquired us. We are thank you, a little clapping out there, which is great. We are an outsourced sales and marketing engine company. I'm also the co-author of a new book called Selling the Cloud, which has come out recently as well, and selling like crazy. So really, really excited to be here. Joseph, thanks for having me.
And it's a great book. I've got my copy right there behind me and enjoying it thoroughly. So thanks for taking the time out of your schedule, Mark, to join us. We've gone through the list. I see Ezra's gotten himself psyched up. Before we hand it over to Ezra, for our competitors, any last minute questions? Anything else that we need to check? Or are we good to dig in? See thumbs up. We're good. And then from the judges, can I get Néhémie? Was that
Yeah, I thought that you mentioned there would be a noise for the 15-minute. I didn't hear it when you originally said it.
Oh, let me double check and make sure that we have got that piping in. We should be good.
Contestant right there holding you accountable.
I know,
Watch out.
that's the best way to do it. So we do have that gong set up, and we've got one more person joining in. So Néhémie, thanks for watching at that, and I'll be sure to chime in if there are any. I'm sure none of you are going to hit the 15-minute limit, but we'll be good. For our judges, can I get a thumbs up if you've got your scorecards? Great. Ezra, I am going to put 15 minutes back onto the clock, and it is all yours if you would like to kick us off.
Hi, my name is Ezra, and I am an AE at HyperComply. It's a startup, and we offer solutions to filling security questionnaires as quickly as possible. And my buyer today is a sales engineer, just anyone on the pre-sale side, since they typically take care of that. And I just need to find my buyer here. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Hi, Sheila. Happy to have you here on the call.
Hi, Ezra. It's good to see you.
Hi. Where are you calling in from?
I'm out in Vancouver, actually.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. And how's your day going so far today? Any pleasant surprises, train wrecks?
A lot of potential train wrecks. I'm moving tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah,
your schedule really is packed.
Yes, yeah. It's been chaos.
You do have a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Aileen did mention that you had a lot going on this week and that you only had 15 minutes just to really squeeze some time in, but that you've had it like up to here with security questionnaires. And I totally get that. You're moving, the everyday just work schedule of an SC is just maddening chaos. But I think this will be plenty of time to figure out if it makes sense for us to work together here. And so just for the sake of time, I'll just jump right in then. And if you could just let me know if you could see my screen okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Am I looking in the wrong place?
Okay. Sorry about that. If you just give me a second here. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, sweet. All right. Okay, so just in terms of our call here, I'd love to hear about your team's current process for filling out security questionnaires. And then I'll just share briefly about what we offer as a solution. And then if it makes sense, we can discuss exploring a full demo. How does that sound? Is there anything else here that I should add?
No, I think that sounds good. Just sort of digging into how we do it and maybe give you an idea of what it is that you guys do differently than how I'm currently doing it. I'm hoping it's better.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Perfect. Then, yeah, do you want to just kick this off by just sharing what your current process looks like at Spark?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's pretty, the process itself isn't ad hoc, but it's unpredictable. So any given week I can anticipate I'm going to have to spend somewhere to 6 to 10 hours filling out questionnaires,
Wow.
but I don't know when they're coming. And that's kind of part of the frustration. It's fairly easy to anticipate that they're going to come up during any given deal, but it's unpredictable how many other people are going to be involved, what other pieces need to be pulled into the picture, and at what stage in the process somebody's going to ask for it. And then I'm sure what always happens with this, it's if someone's requesting it, they need it right away, because that's one of the last
definitely.
things that, yeah, exactly. So it's high pressure, annoying.
Yeah. Everyone's excited to close the sale, but you never know when it's going to come in. It is super unpredictable. So when the security questionnaire does come in, so you have some of that coverage, 6 to 10 hours a week. Are there other people on your team that eventually get brought in to answer some of these questions?
Yeah, there'll be a couple, and I can't give you like a number for every deal, but sometimes I'll have to bring them. It depends on the product, and it might be bringing someone in on the legal side as well. But I can say maybe three to five other people, not all of them on one, but like pulling from that pool.
Yeah. Okay. So so for you personally, it's taking 6 to 10 hours a week. That's a lot of time, especially when you have to pack and get ready to move. There's a lot going on. If you could get those 6 to 10 hours a week back, just in terms of your work week, what would you rather be doing with your time?
Well, I would be packed by now. Yeah, there's so many other things I could do with the time, of course. And I'm not just me, it's my team as well. I'm going to say that I'm saying if it comes to me, it's last minute. If I'm pulling someone else in, it's last minute for them too. So there are so many other things we could be doing. And I know that there would be a lot less griping. It's just not good for our feel.
Yeah, definitely. I hear all the time how because these security questionnaires are unpredictable and it's not scheduled in the work week, it actually intrudes into our own family time, our own social life, which is terrible. But in terms of your role there, on the pre-sale side, what are you doing when you're not bombarded with these security questionnaires?
What do I do with my time?
Yeah, in your pre-sales role, for your team.
So it's a lot of just making sure everybody has what they need. There's the occasional product demoing stuff that goes on, depending on where we're at. Lining up the pins for the rest of the team to knock down as well. It's literally my least favorite part of my job. I'm gonna flat out say that I'm not talking to a person or dealing with a product when I'm filling out a questionnaire.
Yep. I hear that all the time. That it is a pain in the butt, worst part of their job. So you're also providing coverage for demos, and you're also working on these deals. So just in terms of understanding, the scale of your sales cycle there at Spark, on average, what's your annual contract value? Just a ballpark.
Actually, I don't know if I'm supposed to disclose all of that stuff to you at this point.
That's totally fine. No problem. I think what's important though is that instead of those 6 to 10 hours, right, there are far more important opportunities, real growth value opportunities that you could be spending time in. Your team needs you. You got to move. All of these things are going on, right? And so it seems like a part of what motivated you to seek out a security questionnaire solution is the desire to save time. Is that the primary reason? Is there anything else about the security questionnaire process that?
So I'm going to say if the time is huge. I'm going to say time is number one. Put that at the top of the list. If there's a way to make the process more smoother, predictable, realistically, I don't know if that's a thing that you guys can do. Because it's all part of our own process as well. And if there were a way to make the collaborative aspect function smoother, I want to say less friction to it, not just time, but the actual process it takes to fill them out.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, awesome. There's a lot there. So save time, make the sales cycle more predictable, like for your sales team, that they can have a better idea of when you're going to be done with the security questionnaire, right? And then to be able to collaborate with, you said 2 or 3 other people who are also going to be filling security questionnaires in with you. Is that right? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And in terms of tools, are you using anything right now?
For the questionnaires?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or are you doing most of them through Google?
So most of them are Google documents or sheets or whatever format works best for whatever the questionnaire is. But yeah, that's primarily what we're using. Nothing else that's specifically for the questionnaires. We store them sometimes in Atlassian, or Confluence, but that doesn't really help with the questionnaire part. It's just where we put them. Okay,
sweet. Okay, awesome. All right. So, I mean, in terms of what you're looking for in a solution, have you had a chance to, like if there was a genie and you could just conjure up a perfect solution for security questionnaires, and I don't know if you've had time to like shop around a little bit, but like what's something that would be important to you, something that you'd be looking for?
Yeah, so I haven't actually shopped around or even really looked at what your solution does. So I'm sorry if I'm wishing for things that aren't possible, but my best case scenario would be something that is, everything's all in one place. We can all access it at any given time. If one of team member does their part and updates it, we all see it and have access to it. And it's not like I have to go get it from them, if you know what I mean, and ask for it, and having multiple copies of things that are out of date. And ideally, something set up that they could schedule it ahead of time, like just knowing once a deal's open that was going to come up, just put that into the system. And so we know in advance it's going to be coming down the pipe. I don't know if that's realistic.
Yep. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So one thing I'm also hearing a lot from you is that it really seems like you care about your team. You care about the team process. You care about their morale. You don't want them spending time doing this. And then you want predictability, right? And so, I mean, this is all really encouraging to hear. This is something that we hear from our customers all the time. And saving teams time and helping them to work together, that is like at the white hot core center of our mission. So maybe I could just jump in, just share briefly about what we do at HyperComply and how we can help you with that. So again, my hope is just that, I can share enough that you might be interested in a full demo. But just to give you a quick idea of what we do, so we do provide a platform. This is where everyone can come together and collaborate. But what we do before the collaboration is we automate the pre-fill, we automate the process. And so if you've ever had questions that you've answered before, your team will never have to answer those questions again, because we'll automate that for you. So, you'll simply send us your security questionnaire whenever you receive it, and then we'll pre-fill it for you. And then we'll give it back to you. We'll let you know, Sheila, we filled out 90% of it. Take a look at it. And then the remaining 10%, you can collaborate on our response platform and do it together as a team. And so typically we're saving teams about 90% in terms of time spent on these questionnaires. And in terms of predictability, you were mentioning how you wanted more predictability in terms of the sales cycle. Typically, you can get back the pre-fill within 24 hours. And so that's something that we back by SLA. And so that'll just give everyone from your team to, the account executives, those who are like super eager to hit their quota, by a certain time, they'll know exactly when the security questionnaires are going to be completed. And before we get that started, this is just what the onboarding looks like. Basically, we're just creating a central library. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time from you. Your team would simply send us your policy docs and several of your previously completed questionnaires. And then we'll manage everything from there. So we'll upload all the question and answer sets, and we'll create that centralized library and then let you know when it's ready to go. So everything that we're trying to do is around saving you time. Just want to make sure that we can do everything possible so that your team is spending as little time as possible on these questionnaires. So do you have any questions in terms of the onboarding or just how? our solution
Yeah.
works.
So I do have, and actually my colleague, Mark, are you still there? I know we were talking earlier, you had some concerns about just onboarding being done poorly. I don't know if you recall that conversation. Did you have a question for Ezra about that? You're muted right now.
Sorry about that. But
There we
yes,
go.
I had a double mute going on. But yeah, Ezra, can you just tell us more about how generally that process goes and what you can bring to the table to make that go more effectively?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So typically with other solutions, you're in charge of creating your own centralized library. So, you have the platform, you have the tools, but then you're doing it yourselves. And sometimes that could take 50 to 100 hours. But with us, we're actually managing that entire process for you. And I'd love to show that to you guys when, we have the full demo. I would love for you guys both to be there. For today, I just wanted to give like a quick overview. So how does that sound? I mean, are there any other concerns that you have? Or do you feel like, this might be a good time to maybe schedule in like a full demo so that I can answer some of these questions? And we can also jump in the platform and I could show you how everything works.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to go to a full demo, but that was helpful. So thanks for answering that.
Sure. Well, just for the sake of time, Sheila, should we just schedule in another time then, and maybe Mark can join us, and maybe we could take some time to answer some questions before we jump into a full demo?
I think what I'm going to want to do is talk about pricing and see how it works, those two things together, because I know my team's concerned about what it's going to look like if we implement something like this. I know I've already mentioned the morale aspect. The last thing I want to do is put them through a grueling onboarding with a tool that doesn't actually help us. So I do want to see it, but then I would also like to have the pricing discussion at some point as well.
Absolutely. Happy to talk about pricing. You did just miss Cyber Monday here at HyperComply. Just kidding, but we do have some awesome end of year pricing that we'll make available. Can we schedule in some time next week? Maybe Thursday afternoon to discuss pricing and some concerns that you have?
Before I schedule it, if you could just offer a little bit of reassurance about the morale aspect, because I know I'm really digging on this, but like, how do I know that I'm not going to put this in front of my team and then use up some of their time, and then the onboarding is terrible? Like maybe some reassurance there.
Ezra,
Sure. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
But we are at 15 minutes. I know Sheila and Mark asked some tough questions there, baiting you into going over right at the end.
Yeah, I tried to get out. I couldn't make it.
So we're gonna put we're at the end of that 15 minutes, so you can wrap up your screen share. I'm gonna put a couple of minutes on the clock for our judges to fill out their judging score sheets. But let me tee it up for the next presenter first. Tanpreet, you're up next. You've got a couple of minutes to prep while our judges are filling out their scorecards. Ezra, you're done. You're out of the hot seat. How are you feeling about it?
That was fun. That was a rush. And yeah, just excited to have this opportunity. I follow a lot of the judges on LinkedIn. I'm really excited to be able to learn from their feedback. So, and I'm thank you so much for letting me go first.
Letting you.
I love that.
I'm glad you think about it that way. Others might not have been so excited.
I do.
Nice. I see several of our judges kind of heads down, filling in some notes. As you finish out your scores, can you give us a thumbs up? Sheila, saw you unmute. All yours.
I didn't hear a gong sound again. I was really surprised.
I am just going to double check my audio settings. I can see our folks on YouTube heard it loud and clear, but I am going to switch my mics for a moment and come back. So give me one moment.
It's almost scary to mention it because now you're just going to be pushing it over and over.
I know, it'll be every single meeting. We'll wrap that up. So we'll give one quick tech check and just see if that gong is playing for our folks in Zoom. I'm sure this is going to bother all of you on YouTube while you bear with it, but let's see. Now I see some blank faces, so maybe that's not coming through on Zoom. Well, we will resolve that for our next one. Thanks for bearing with us. Folks on YouTube, you get all the glorious sound effects. Zoom, you're missing out. But we'll get that running. I saw a couple of thumbs up from our judges. For the others, did you get your scores in? We're all good. Okay. Got our 2 minutes. Tanpreet, it's going to be yours. I'll be keeping an eye on the timer, and I'll interject if you're running long. I'm sure you won't, but the floor is all yours.
The timer starts after I introduce my company, right?
That's right, yeah.
So, guys, my name is Tanpreet, and I work for a company called WatrHub. We are a data intelligence company focused on US and Canadian public infrastructure markets. So we provide predictive data intelligence, which is powered by AI to big infrastructure companies all over North America. And the buyer persona, for me would be, VP of business development, who handles infrastructure market development. So, yeah. And the company is huge, so probably 40 or 50,000 employees, and we work with such big companies. So it's going to be a pretty interesting pitch here. So, yeah. Cool, awesome. Hey Sheila, hi.
Hey Tanpreet, how are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a day, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can totally understand with all the work from home and everything happening. It's pretty crazy for us as well. How are things going on? I know that things are restricted in terms of COVID, but our infrastructure, how's everything going for you guys? It's much tougher for you guys more than us because I'm selling technology. You guys are more in the market and doing projects. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting just with the way everything's categorized. Most of us who can work from home just are, and that's totally fine. But there's so much of us who can't. But for the most part, most of our projects are good to go. Just that whole, when you're building a thing, it's deemed essential. So there's a lot of projects that are still being able to move forward. So it's hectic, but we're all kind of doing our best.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that we have 15 minutes scheduled for this call. Does that still work for you? And do you have a hard stop at 15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 is good. It is a hard stop, but I am curious to hear about what you guys do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So the goal for me for this call is to basically, obviously give you a product overview and, see how it fits into your use case and then discuss the next steps. Is there anything you want to, change in that goal? Like that's something which I came up with. And the agenda for me is to obviously, understand your business for 5 to 7 minutes and then walk you through the product to show you what we have to offer and then discuss the next steps, which is going to be creating a sample report to show you real opportunities which we can gather from you before you actually make a purchase. So do you want to add anything to that agenda?
No, that sounds great. And I'll have more questions about that sample report, but we can get there when we get there.
Okay, perfect. So I know that you had a conversation with one of our BDRs and you did mention that, you have good expansion plans and obviously currently you guys work only on the West Coast but you have expansion plans all over the US and Canada. So why don't we start with that? What kind of expansion plans do you have? I know looking at your website, you definitely do a lot of water, wastewater and bridges, highways kind of projects. But is there any state or province you are currently targeting?
So it's a little bit two-directional right now. We're going to continue down the coast. I'm actually, when it's okay, we're hoping to get into sort of Oregon, right down the coastline there. But then location-wise, we're also looking at always to expand within Canada as well. So if we can start heading east, that would be great too. I don't know if location-wise is what you meant though. Are you curious about projects or just sort of the directions we're headed?
Yeah, I mean, I think for some people, it's just that, the kind of projects you want to chase and what kind of bandwidth you have in terms of your operational, internal operational expertise in certain states. So that is the reason I asked you about that question, because that will affect the kind of intelligence we give you, right? So, but that's good to hear. That's a good starting point. When you say that you do have expansion plans, let's start with how are you currently gathering, intelligence in your current market, as well as if you have any plans to gather intelligence in your future markets as well.
So it's a lot of research, and I'm just going to say flat out that I think this is how everybody's doing it. and everything your SDR raised was frankly a little bit confusing, because I didn't realize that this was a thing that there was an automated solution for. And it's multiple team members researching, one success story, and then where can we reproduce this? So we look at our biggest successes, and then we look at the geography, the economy, everything that's going on in the area, and we just try to find the same place that we can reproduce it, and then we keep repeating it. But I'm going to say that the research that goes into finding a new opportunity is huge. Like, we're talking weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like and I hear that, whenever I talk to leaders like yours, especially now, because with COVID, you can't meet people in person, you can't attend those conferences, you can't do a lot of things. So it's just becoming much more tougher. But coming back to what you said, when you said weeks and weeks, can you give me a time frame of how much time does your team spend actually in finding that opportunity?
So I'm going to say a really nice time frame is 6 weeks, and then oftentimes up to 6 months, just on research. And I know that's a really wide range, but the more we expand, of course, we try to branch out into new areas and everything. So those time frames increase as we go. But the biggest frustration with that is not just the time, of course, it's the cost of what every single deal costs. And that the more research it goes into before we find it, of course, that gets higher.
You're right. So you're saying that the quality of the research is not that good? Or
yes. I'm not going to say the quality is not that good. It's not that efficient.
So you're finding the opportunity too late in the game is the problem.
Yeah. So the length of time it takes us to find the opportunity, if we were faster at it, we'd be finding them earlier on, and then of course there's always other things that slow down processes, RFPs and that kind of thing. But ideally, we could speed up everything at the front of it. It's the whole length of sales cycle. If you just think about it, shorten it at the beginning, get it out of the way. The time sink for research is just not sustainable.
Got it. Perfect. So I really have good context. Obviously, this was a good context to obviously tell you more about WatrHub, and there's definitely a use case, right? You mentioned a lot of things that you're not able to meet people in person. You're spending 6 weeks, anywhere between 6 weeks to 6 months to find an opportunity. You are reaching, some opportunities you're reaching at the right time, but some opportunities you're just too late in the game. So these things are obviously a pain point which WatrHub tends to solve, and I would like to show you how we do it. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen and just walk you through the product. Let me know when you can see the screen. So just to give you an introduction, right? WatrHub is a data intelligence platform, specially meant for public infrastructure companies. And we possess the industry's largest data warehouse on US and Canadian public infrastructure. And this warehouse is almost 900 million documents, and it covers almost 35,000 utilities all over US and Canada. So now, when you mentioned initially, right, the traditional sources which are not currently working for you, travel restrictions, and then, noisy bid and project trackers, which are currently not working. They give you obviously hundreds of opportunities which you have to go through, and you don't get targeted opportunities which you can actually go and chase, right? So, and then your internal databases are not being updated that frequently because of obviously you can't meet people, you can't, you can't have a human look at thousands of documents and update internal documents, right? So, and then obviously you can't meet people in person is also so all these things has obviously opened up a big scope for customer intelligence. And when I say that it's more about, you're missing sales opportunities or you're too late in the game, and like, all those things which we already discussed, right? And that's the core of our business. Now, like, just to give you obviously the product overview of how we work and what we're trying to solve here is basically, if you give us like, obviously we have a case here where you're trying to expand into a new market. You're trying to like, obviously also collect data on your current markets. So we gather one customer intelligence question from you, and it could be probably like a particular product, or it could be probably just general infrastructure projects you're willing to explore, right? So we take that and then we query it, into our database of 900 million documents, and then we get those opportunities which you're probably targeting, and then those are then verified by our intelligence analyst. So there is a human factor there, because we know that the AI can't do everything, so there's a human factor which is involved, and then we give you this customer intelligence report. So that's the process which we follow. And what is included in this intelligence report, right? So we give you the opportunities. So it will really depend on like how many opportunities you want, but we give you targeted opportunities in your expansion markets or current markets, which you can quickly go and chase. It will give you a timeline, what timeline the utility has for the RFP to come out, and then what kind of opportunity is this, and then it will also give you a source link of where we got the information from, so that you can go and read more and then create that bid which could actually win you the opportunity. So this is how our report looks like. And these are like targeted opportunities. So we don't give you like 100 or 150 opportunities. We give you 14 or 15 opportunities that meet your criteria and which you can quickly go and target. So obviously we have been trusted by a lot of people, and one of my favorite is here. Hiron was obviously he worked in his own market for almost 2 decades, and we were able to gather so much information from him, which he didn't even know about. So and I when I talk to leaders like you, I always notice that they said that we have a good. We know the market really well, but when they see that what our AI can do, they're really surprised by it. So yeah. So Sheila, I know that we have 15 minutes, and we are already obviously into the time. How our process works is basically we definitely have this discovery meeting where we know the pain point and we gather certain criteria from you. So what I'll be doing next is I will be asking you a couple of questions in terms of obviously you obviously mentioned that you want to target East Coast and you have some expansion plans. Is there any kind of projects you want to explore? That's what I would want to know about, and then we will create that search plan review which we will go through, where we will tell you about our how we would gather the data, and then we will create the sample report. So does this still look like a a good process to move forward? Because I went through the. If you have any questions, obviously I can stop and answer those.
So I like that you're sharing the next steps. That makes it clear, and I think it makes sense, but I'm not sure yet. I have a question, but I also know that my colleague Bilal has a question. So I'm going to ask mine first, and then Bilal can jump in and fill you with his, because I know he's thinking. My first question is just a couple of slides back when you were talking about you set up everything and you go through. You searchable, but did you say 9 million documents?
900 million.
900 million, thank you. Wow. So I like your customers are saying, I know my market, and how is that even possible? And how long have you guys been doing this? And I'm a little confused. I didn't know this was.
So we've been doing this for almost 4.5 years. So we started with the water and wastewater industry, to be specific, and then we now do every infrastructure project. So basically highways, bridges, transit, so anything to do with like, rail transit or metro or everything. So yeah.
Okay, Bilal, did you have a question?
I did. Tanpreet, I'm just wondering, this just seems really kind of complicated. I mean, what's this take to really make this switch? I mean, you showed a timeline, but it's like it'd be nice to follow that timeline, but let's be real, like it seems kind of messy to make this switch. And there's just a lot of other competing priorities. So just kind of walking me through what's it really going to take.
So when you say that it's tough for you to switch, is when you're saying that you can't make the switch because you already have like priorities. So we are giving you opportunities, real opportunities, which you can go and chase and actually target, rather than doing your internal research, which can save your sales teams and your business development teams a lot of time, and then actually concentrate on selling rather than researching. And then when you compare that to your internal amount of money you spend on the people, and it's going to be that cost benefit which you're going to get from these reports. So I would love to show you obviously the sample so that you can the value we're going to add, and that's the reason we do that, and that's the reason we follow that process, so that you don't buy anything before you actually trust it. So obviously, I have a good amount of information right now. I would love to involve my intelligence team and create that search plan review, and we can probably catch up next week, to go through it and how we can create the sample report for you. Yeah.
Great. That sounds good. If that's the logical next step, I'm so curious.
Perfect. Yeah. So would say next Wednesday.
Tanpreet, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are at the 15-minute mark.
Damn.
I know. I'm sorry. You were close. I saw you going for the next step there, but we are closed up on that.
No worries.
Well done. Oh, I see the applause from the judges. James, you like that cutoff though. I see that enthusiastic.
No, he was right there, man, right there.
Oh, it was close. And I saw Jamie. You were even giving Tanpreet the shout out to watch for it there. That was very, very, very kind. Fair gameplay for you there. Oh, there you go. I guess I saw Tanpreet. You had the 9 seconds left. You must have started your timer just after me. I think we still got you on mute, by the way.
I had 9 seconds left on my watch. I thought I didn't anticipate that Bilal to ask that question. Probably I would have said
that was a good one. He asked a tough one right there at the end.
If anybody's gonna ask a tough question, it's Bilal.
There we go.
I hope I answered it well, though.
I like that. That was a victory pump for pushing you over the time limit there. So we got 2 competitors left. We're at the halfway mark. We're going to take a brief intermission, let people top up on their waters, their caffeine. Right when we come back, Néhémie, you'll be up next. So during the break, you can get yourself ready. For those on YouTube, we're going to put you on a small break, but we'll be back in just 5 minutes.
I think you're just looking at a different level of individual, though. When you're buying from a senior executive, they know what they want, and you can banter against that a little bit to focus on your agenda. But I think there is you'll find more success over a longer period of time if you open your mind to that.
Yeah, Bilal, I also think the context here is that they've already spoken with an SDR, right?
Yeah.
If
I don't know.
I agree with you.
Tanpreet
I 100%
specifically
agree
mentioned
with you.
SDR, but I don't think Ezra did, right? I don't think Ezra
No.
was saying that there was a SDR conversation prior. So I think it changes between the contestants.
So, by the way, this chat is great. I put us back up on YouTube because this stuff's gold.
Good
I mean,
stuff.
we could have sat here quietly, but who wants that, you know?
Bilal, to your point, I would almost just caveat this saying, like, you just want to ensure that, like, I just asked, like, this is a meeting success if we accomplish what 3 things, but I still put my agenda in there to put parameters to contain the conversation. But I just want to know in my mind, like, I want them thinking about success already, and I go back to that if I had enough time. But if not, because you got 15 minutes, you at least, like, have that general direction, and then you got to kind of pivot your sales stuff a little bit, which is hard because everyone made pre-formatted slides, so you don't have too much wiggle room here either.
I mean,
I'd even
Bilal has
throw
a
in there
point.
with the BDR, just I'm sure you talk with a lot of BDRs. What made you want to hop on a call with me today? And then you're not ceding control of the agenda, but you're still understanding what their priority is. And you can go from there.
Yeah.
I think that Bilal has a point though. If you've sent an agenda, like the agenda is there,
Sure.
and you should probably try to stick to that agenda. But I think he would also agree that it's important that you get what they want to talk about out too, right? I mean, maybe it's not the best starting point, but we find that it helps open the door for the conversation to start.
So that's a good pausing point. I want to make sure that for all the folks on YouTube who are missing the chance to engage, that they get to see our next 2 competitors. And we also don't want to give away all the secrets before we have two last competitors in. Yeah, I could see, Néhémie taking furious notes to make sure that he folds them into his pitch. So let's do just kind of quick check. Néhémie, are you all set? You've got your gear in order?
Sorry, mute button again. Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm ready to go. How are you guys doing?
Okay. For our judges, you have your scorecards. You good? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, we're set. Everybody's topped up their water or whiskey, as the case may be, but we're all set. I see. Okay, we're good. Nice. I am going to put my 15 minutes back on the clock. Néhémie, quick reminder, please introduce yourself, the company, what you're pitching. We are good to go on YouTube as well. The floor is all yours.
Okay, quick introduction before, let me get my 30 seconds or so. So Assurance IT, I'm a BDR over there. Essentially, we do cloud backup and disaster recovery, business continuity solutions for aftermath of a ransomware attack. My buyer persona is essentially going to be an IT manager, any really level of company, and we'll go from there. Okay. Hey, Sheila, how you doing today?
Hey, Néhémie, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking. How are the kids?
They're chaos. Thank you for asking.
As always, they always are, but I know they love you so much, so I appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me. I'm just kind of curious, will anybody else be joining the call today, or is it just me and you?
Fair question. I told a couple of my colleagues about the call, James and Reed, both, they're listening. I don't know if they're going to pop in though. So they've got audio on, but entirely might stick their heads in at some point.
Okay, totally fair. If I remember, James is the Tennessee chili cook-off guy, and I think that you mentioned Reed. I think I did a bit of research on Reed, and his growth at PandaDoc was quite impressive. So in case he's listening, congratulations on all your success, Reed. Real quick, I know we talked about having a 15-minute window. I'm curious if that's a hard stop, or do we have any flexibility with that?
No, we do not. I do have a hard stop. I have to finish packing.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna just make sure I got 12 and a half to give us some chance. I don't want to get gonged if anybody out there is getting ready with noise. So I'm just gonna kind of set up the goal for us. I'm just gonna introduce you to Assurance IT. By the way, I'm gonna be looking to my left from time to time. I take my notes over here, so you have my full attention. I'm just looking to the left for notes. Yeah, I just kind of want to understand your priorities and challenges, and it's kind of at the end of the call, I want to see that if we're a good fit, and then from there we'll be able to discuss next steps, which is typically a longer 40 to 45 minutes tailored demo. Is that cool with you?
It sounds great.
Would there be anything else that you would want to achieve to make this call a success?
Well, if my colleagues do manage to listen, I guess it'll be helpful to have their ears so we know if next steps make sense, because they can weigh in on that as well.
Okay, that's great.
That's all.
Okay, we'll do.
We're
We'll make
always
sure-
listening.
Somebody's always listening, and I'm aware. Okay, well, that's awesome. I just want to kind of set a quick agenda to make sure that we're on the same page of what this conversation is going to look like. I'm going to go over some things about you at first, some information that I got from the SDR in the previous conversation that you had. From there, I'm going to go over some of your concerns and learn a bit more about you. After that, I'm going to give a quick snippet about our company. I know I don't want to bore you with too many PowerPoint slides. I'm sure you get them all the time, so we'll be very short when it comes to that. At the end, I hope to learn more about your decision-making process and kind of see where you personally are in your own buyer's journey. I'm not sure what stage you are throughout the whole process, so that'd be great to learn more about that. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds great.
Okay, I'm a big questions guy. I really want to learn more about you, so feel free to interrupt, and I'm going to just kind of keep throwing questions at you during the process. So from there, basically some information that I got about you is I know that you're curious about digitizing the offsite backup process. Could you tell me more about that?
So full transparency, I'm pretty early on in evaluating solutions for this. I know that it's a thing I need to do a better job of. It's important to have backup going regularly and to have it done in a way that doesn't leave us vulnerable. I read I don't even remember who posted a blog recently just about how not testing it regularly is leaving gaps.
Yeah.
And I'm aware and should do a better job, but haven't gotten on it yet.
Well, you aren't the only one. Honestly, over here in Montreal, I know that you said you're in Vancouver, correct?
I am, yeah.
So over here in Montreal, actually, our version of Translink, which is the STM, is essentially our public transportation system. They actually just recently got hit with a ransomware attack, and so the hackers were asking for around $2.5 million. So that's obviously on a huge scale level what that could look like for the business. On a smaller scale level, recently we also worked with the city of St. John out in New Brunswick. They also recently got hit with the ransomware attack, and we were able to help them. So we know what we're doing, and I think that a lot of organizations, I feel like no matter the size, should be very aware of this because the business continuity issue could be quite costly. So from there, I just want to know like I said, so we were there. As far as data, I know that you want that easily accessible. You're currently using tape. Am I correct on that? You're backing up your data to the tape?
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Okay, well that makes sense. So typically with that, the data isn't typically easily accessible after a ransomware attack, and that's where we're going to be kind of able to help you with that. So certain things that I wanted to kind of let you know is that what we do here at Assurance IT, we're going to be able to help you reduce operational costs. So I kind of want to go over some of your concerns that you talked about with the previous conversation you had with the SDR. As far as costs, I can tell you right now that our option is going to reduce operational costs. It's going to facilitate your backups, and it's also going to ensure that your data is readily available for you at all times. Oftentimes, some people, I think that you might have said that you use AWS Glacier. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Can I ask a quick question? Just
Yeah, of
in there,
course.
you said about reducing operational costs. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
I can definitely tell you more about that. The issue with that would be more is a question of how many virtual machines and terabytes that you use. So that's kind of where the technicality would be. So if you're a bit new to it, we have to talk about virtual machines and how many terabytes they use up as far as space. From there, we could really start to talk about the nitty gritty when it comes to pricing. But I like your curiosity. And if you're already there, that means that we're heading on a good start. So I appreciate you asking.
I like to know if somebody promises me they're going to reduce my operational costs. My first thought is, well, how?
Well, exactly. Well, that's a great question, and we'll get definitely deeper into that. One thing that I wanted to follow up on that question is since we're already here, we're talking about costs. Let's take it there. I can guarantee you that a ransomware attack is going to be quite expensive. We can agree on that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, based on our research that we found that average ransom request is around $9,000. And typically what that does as far as cost of average downtime for an organization, we're looking at around $60,000 to $70,000 in costs operationally. So a pretty decent amount of money depending on how much revenue you guys are bringing in. I'm kind of curious, if you were to lose $70,000, $80,000 in the business, how would that affect you?
I would not be happy. I might lose my job if it was my fault.
Right. And I mean, I saw your social media, which you spend a lot of time with your kids. We wouldn't want, have to go dealing with unemployment or anything like that. But this
Totally
is the kind of
fair.
situations that have happened, especially at the city of St. John. So we wouldn't want that. So let me keep asking a few questions. If that was to occur, how would that affect kind of your status in your own boss's eyes? I know that you're the IT manager, so you take care of the whole technology service system. Would you lose any type of status, any type of credibility to your boss if that occurred?
Oh, 100%. And I'm being tongue in cheek about being fired immediately, but that would be a huge problem. And yeah.
Yeah, so we could both agree we probably wouldn't want that. I'm kind of curious. I know that you work with other people under you. Do you feel like if that was to occur, would there be any kind of mistrust as far as like essentially your authority when it comes to your ideas on IT at that point?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's a real risk. I think not just for myself, but company, really for the entire company, there's a credibility issue there.
Oof, okay, so yeah, so essentially we're trying to help with that. The data break would be quite expensive. Obviously, a loss of customers would be quite expensive as well. I just want to let you know that we work closely with Veeam to provide an easy and affordable cloud storage solution. So I think we'd be able to help with costs when it comes to that. You mentioned that you are using AWS Glacier. I'm curious, you mentioned something about testing. How often do you guys test? Not that often, correct?
It's not that often. I'm just gonna say not often enough.
Okay, so one of the things that we've learned with people who have moved from AWS Glacier, for example, we did have a company out of Toronto who we helped kind of back up offsite away from them. The issue with AWS is that they do a good job of storing the data. It's just that after a ransomware attack, retrieving that data to continue the business is where they really kind of hit you with a big fee. So what we're able to do with our cloud system is you would have access to your data at all times. So I think we'll be able to help with that. Does that make sense to you?
It does, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to take some time to just show you a little bit. Let me share my screen here. Give me 1 second. Just to give you a quick little info on what we're doing. Can you see?
I can. Looks good.
Okay, so essentially, yeah, it's Assurance IT. This is who we are. You're seeing this thing. So, yeah, we've been around since 2011. We're a very Canadian company. Your data would never leave the country. Essentially, we have around 700 plus VMs that we protect, which is a conversation that we could have later when it comes to specific pricing. And like I said, we're one of the first VM Cloud Connect partners. So that's how we'd be able to handle the cost. So to go back on some ransomware statistics that we spoke about, like I said, the really kind of urgent thing, which kind of brings up to mind the urgency of the situation, is that 88% of the companies have been attacked in the last 12 months. So ever since the pretty much COVID had the move to work from home, folks haven't really been testing all that, and they're really kind of vulnerable to phishing attacks, really vulnerable to other types of ways that hackers get into the system. So if you don't have anything backed up offsite, that's where it can really hit. And we both agree that almost $70,000 in downtime costs could have an effect on both the business and you personally. We could agree on that.
Yeah. 88% is a lot.
88% is quite a lot. Like I said, ever since working from home, there's been a really big shift into moving everything to the cloud. Unfortunately, folks who aren't really involved in the details of tape backup are vulnerable because they're not testing it, which is why I'm really big on making sure that you test it so we can protect your organization in that. I'll send you this link after our conversation to learn more kind of the bigger high-profile attacks that have occurred this year. And essentially, so this is essentially what we do. The data is valuable. We're going to help you out through the multi-cloud, and we're very flexible when it comes to that. Our two biggest products are offsite data backup and offsite replication. And this is kind of the list of all the things that we do when it comes to a SaaS model, so you could pay on a yearly or monthly basis based on what we work on. We have cloud backup as a service, infrastructure as a service, tape as a service, and all that jazz. So I'm kind of curious when it comes to all of that. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a...
Can I ask you, this is what you do, you're in this sphere all the time. Yes. How often would you recommend testing?
We would say at least quarterly.
At least quarterly.
At the most, maybe biannually, at least maybe biannually, but we would prefer definitely quarterly. So with all those things that I've just mentioned, it seems like we really kind of hit the nail on the head with kind of the issues that you were having. What would kind of get in the way for us to move forward?
Just sort of getting my team mobilized behind it. Right, I see it's an issue. I know it's a thing that I need to do better on, and just everything you've outlined about all the potential losses. I didn't realize the percentage was as high as 88%. I heard that there had been a steady increase. So for me, it's just what's my team thinking, and then how do I get them aligned?
That makes a lot of sense. Well, we're coming up close in time, and I really want to answer a lot more of your questions. I'm curious, does anybody else in the chat have any questions for me?
What can you tell me about the onboarding process? What does that look like?
That is a great question, and that's going to be a very technical question. That's going to be based off how many virtual machines that you're dealing with, how many terabytes that you're dealing with. So that, if you're interested in that, would it make sense for us to have a longer, a bit of a deeper deep dive, maybe the next few days or so?
What do you think, based on what you've learned here? What do you think? Would it be worth it?
Are you asking me or are you asking Sheila?
I don't know. I mean, what do you think after everything you've learned today? Do you think we should schedule another call?
Well, absolutely. If you're not testing it as often as you should, and if you're also, you're not really aware of kind of the hit that you could be taking financially, and obviously personally, if it comes to, obviously if the business is not doing well, everybody's stressed, and we want you guys going to work feeling good. And also for you personally, Sheila, I just think that your stature to your colleagues and to your boss is going to be really important, and we want to make sure that you're never put in a situation where you're vulnerable to a ransomware attack. So I want to make sure that everybody looks at Sheila as the number one person to reach out to when it comes to any IT measures. So I do think that we should move forward.
Okay. Reed, did you have any thoughts or questions on this?
Yeah, I did have a question. We're obviously doing our due diligence and looking at a lot of your competitors. I know one of your bigger competitors comes in at about half the price. Why do folks go with you guys over them?
That's a great question, and I can't guarantee that all the folks go against with us than against them. I would say that the fact that we are smaller, we are more available to them. We are definitely more personal. You would be able to talk to our CEO tomorrow if you wanted to. We're definitely big on just creating a relationship. We're all about building rapport. So we can't give you some of the big flashy highlights that the bigger guys can do, but what we can do is talk and ask about how the family is going, how the business is going and all that, because we believe in creating building rapport with our customers and really having that relationship. But really it comes down to protecting your data. We definitely want you to digitize everything to the cloud so you have less storage room for tape and all these things and save costs. If we're no longer going to the office, we might as well get everything in the cloud as well and save some storage space as well.
Awesome.
Well, before I let you go, I know I'm about to get hit with a gong fairly soon, I'm sure. I'm kind of curious, would it make sense for us to talk next week?
I think it does. I want to bring these guys in as well, and we'll probably have one or two other team members that want to chat as well. Questions?
That's awesome. I'm going to make sure I send you an invite for next week. We typically do Microsoft Teams. Are you familiar with that? Are you okay with that?
That works.
Okay, I'm sending you an invite right now for Tuesday afternoon. Can you let me know when you get that?
Yep.
Got it on my end.
You got it on your end? Awesome. Well, yeah, if you just check that off to the yes or confirm that you can be there, we could both get in our calendars. I appreciate you guys taking the time out for me. It really means a lot. All I'm really trying to do is kind of educate you guys on kind of the really kind of misfortunes that can happen. If it can happen to STM,
Néhémie, you're right there.
I closed it though. I got they sent it. They confirmed.
Nice job, man.
Mine's going off too now. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
I can't believe you talked about somebody's kids, dog.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what my concept was. I was trying to build the rapport because I do know Sheila as a mom, and I do know we spent time talking about her kids. So that's where I was going. It was on a personal relationship, not just with anybody.
That was really real.
There we go. So 2 minutes on the clock for people to finish their notes, judges to add some comments. Jame, you'll be up next. So you're getting yourself ready. Néhémie, how you feeling now that you're out of that hot seat? How you doing?
Well, it's just annoying when I'm trying to talk and I can see the notes on the chat. I'm like, okay, well that's long gone. I'm moving on from that. So yeah, I guess I was just trying to make sure that I try to keep it as professional. But I think that I'm not sure if everybody else, my people before me, did the right amount of building rapport. So I guess my concept was to try to come in and build some rapport, especially because obviously I know Sheila and I know a lot of the people at Uvaro. So I was hoping to build some rapport to kind of stand out before Jamie takes my tips and tricks. But that was kind of what I was trying to do to differentiate myself from the rest.
Well, there you go. Yes, playing up to the differences between the other competitors. That's some strategic thinking. I love that there. I'm seeing most of the judges' eyes coming up from their machines. Do I have thumbs up on kind of scores and ratings? Okay, I think Chris is finishing his notes, so I'll give him a moment. Okay, got the thumbs up there. This is exciting. Man, there's been a lot of commentary. We've had 3 for 3 running out of time. Jamie, are you going to be on time or are you going to get gonged out as well? Man, this is tough. I gotta share. Usually when we're running these things, we're kind of pretty on point, but I think everyone's digging in deeper today. We've never had this many gongs. I confess, I'm enjoying the new gear. I'm having a lot of fun. So let's get ready. Let's dig into our last competitor. We have thumbs up from our judges. Jamie, it's yours. I'm resetting my timer here. Again, for everyone's benefit, once we wrap up, we'll give everybody a couple of minutes and we'll jump into some comments, some feedback before we announce our winner. Jamie, I'm gonna mute myself. The floor is all yours.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Jame Zaiyouna here. Happy to be a part of this once again. What you guys are doing is lots of fun. So I'll just dig right into it. So the background for today is I'll be showcasing Shopify. And Sheila, you are a general manager for a small but growing toy manufacturer / wholesaler based out of Kitchener. You're looking to grow your online presence. You're having some issues with shipping and your website as well. There's lots of rising costs with COVID deliveries these days. And I heard some notes from the SDR that you're looking to potentially change over.
Great.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hi, Sheila here.
Hi, Sheila. How you doing? It's Jamie from Shopify.
Great, Jamie. Thanks for calling me back.
Yeah, absolutely. We had seen that you guys had some interest in switching over to Shopify, and I just kind of wondered initially, what brought you to our website? What are you looking to accomplish through having this conversation?
Yeah. So I'm just flipping you to speakerphone. I have a couple colleagues, Drew and Chris, I think, kicking around. So you might hear the yelling of questions at some point. But I started looking into you guys because it's the name. The minute you start searching for e-commerce stuff and trying to take things online. Of course, I've had to adapt pretty hard just in the last few months, just adjusting to the changes, the slowed down walk-ins, and having to kind of not just figure out how to maintain business, sort of recoup business remotely. But now that I've kind of got a handle on what that looks like, I would like to go back to generating growth. So okay. Next steps, right?
No, that's perfect, and that's exactly what we're here to do. And I was also kind of checking out your website, and there was a couple of toys. My son actually turns 4. Wow, time flies. In a couple of days, so I'm getting a couple of good ideas from your site. I'll definitely share with my wife. So that's definitely awesome. A good place to start. So if I wouldn't, I'm just going to kind of set an agenda for today. So we've kind of introduced ourselves. And I'd like to better understand your businesses, your short-term pains and your long-term goals. And then, through this kind of conversation, I'll take the last kind of couple of minutes and just kind of show you the back end of the platform, just to see if it would be something that you'd be able to kind of use and do so successfully. How does that sound? I know
that sounds great. And I know that when I was poking around, I saw some stuff on there just about shipping and sort of the back end of things, if we have time to get into that as well.
Sure. Absolutely. And if we run out of time, I'll certainly send you all the information. So, there's no pressure for us to kind of ram it through this conversation. Shopify does a lot of stuff. We actually started 10 years ago when the founders wanted to start selling snowboards online, and they couldn't find a good platform to use, so they ended up building Shopify. And now, we are supporting about 1 million businesses across the globe, and we like to say we're commerce for good. It's a place where people can grow their businesses locally, regionally, or internationally. And we're here to be able to help provide the backbone for the infrastructure that you may need for your website, or the shipping needs, or just the intelligence in terms of analytics from your sales, or how long people are staying and looking at your website. So things of that nature. So if I may, I'm going to just jump into a couple of questions for you. So you kind of mentioned that shipping is a bit of a pain point for you. Do you mind walking me through the process? So for example, if I were to purchase something at your store or online, what does the shipping process look like for you?
Yeah, so we've just shifted, we just kind of settled into something that's kind of working, but really what it's covering is local. And because I've been pushing so much for our online presence, we're starting to get more traffic from on a more regional scale. And so I'm thinking, like, if this is already feeling clunky, it's going to get worse. Because we've established good relationships with a courier service locally, which works really well. I've been trying to keep it local just because of everything that's happened. So right now, the way it works is on our website, you can purchase, and it all goes through the website. I've got it connected to PayPal. It's super simple. Okay, once that happens, we have an automated triage where the order, it gets sent as a ticket over to our shipping department, who manually goes through the process of setting up shipping. So it at least gets sent to our team automatically, but everything from there is a person. Okay. And well, I say a person, it's a person in charge of a couple, but it's not sustainable, because if we start increasing traffic to the regional scale, then one, the courier service is not going to be big enough. We're going to have to figure out a different partnership, see what that looks like. And, I don't want to restrict ourselves as much as I want to funnel as much as I can locally. I don't want that to restrict our growth.
No, and that's a really good thing. I've tried my hardest to buy locally as much as I can, but if you're a business, you're trying to grow, there's only so many. Your market in Kitchener is only so big, right? So if you want to expand into the GTA or Ontario, Canada, or go south of the border, we can help you with that, right? We can definitely help you with that. And then in terms of your kind of your long-term goals, like what are you hoping to be able to get from this?
Well, if I were going to pipe dream it, I would love to be all the way across Canada. That would be amazing.
Okay. And right now, there's a bit of a tangent here, but how do you guys market your business right now?
Mm-hmm. So that's changed a lot too. Previously, we relied heavily on really good location and a lot of walk by. So just we're set up with the main shopping center. So it's the shops on. I can't remember the road now, but there's a lot of walk by. So we would do that in combination with a limited online presence and some social media presence. Now we've shifted pretty hard to the social platforms, as well as just boosting our website as well.
Okay, that's perfect. And other than talking to us, are you taking any other steps to kind of alleviate your issues?
No, this is the first crack at research, really. Looking at platforms, I have in the back of my head to research other shipping options, but if that's something you can help with, maybe you can point me in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, well, why don't we just jump into it right now? I'm going to just share my screen and we can kind of walk through that if you don't mind. Bear with me. So I've got a couple of tabs. Oh, you can't see it yet. I'm talking to myself here. There we go. Can you see my screen okay?
I can now. Awesome.
Okay. So I've got a couple of tabs open. We'll just dig into this one. So this is kind of the 10 common shipping problems. I don't know if any of these resonate with you, but it sounds like it potentially does. You mentioned doing stuff locally. Why going across Canada versus into the US why is that more important to you? Do you want to just grow Canadian in Canada or?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Why limit yourself, I guess?
Yeah, the simple answer is logistics, because right now, why would I focus on, trying to get it into cross-border shipping right now? Seems a little out there. But I think if you want to take it to a deeper, more principle and concept-based level, I feel like the pandemic hit pretty hard, just in terms of what values are, what really matters. I mentioned that whole trying to keep things as local as possible. I have so many friends and family who've been devastated in this pandemic. Small business owners is just trashing them. So the idea of expanding, for sure, I want to start locally and I want to funnel as much growth into this area as I can. And then if I'm going to continue that, it's going to be in Canada for a while.
Yeah, no, this is something we can certainly help you with. Like I mentioned, we operate kind of globally, so we can help you kind of scale organically, right? We have the tools and network of local shippers. I'll actually show you here. You can actually get a discount based on where you're shipping. It just depends on where you're shipping, how heavy the products are and whatnot. But essentially, we can help you kind of with anything that you may need. Now, I can send you these documents so you can take a greater look. We don't have enough time to get into all the different shipping optionality available to you. So I'll flip you a number of things that may be to your benefit. Now, you talked about, and let's go backwards a little bit. You talked about not having a system in place that would help you further your growth potential in the future. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend to you, and I've created something that you would, can you see this as well? I've now changed the tab.
Switched over to the winter collection.
Yes. Okay. So essentially, this would be your backend. You'd be able to track all your different orders. And obviously, this is kind of what you'd see. We'll have to create more content and fill it out for you. But you can kind of track all the different products, see who's returning what, have the analytics to determine what's making you the most money and what's causing you the most problems. And then in terms of an online store, you can actually build your website right in here, and you can actually customize everything in here. So this is kind of just a fictitious website. You're able to kind of move stuff about and adjust things. It's fairly straightforward. So if you have someone internally that can kind of play with this, you'd have no problem building out your website, and it, all of it kind of sits on the Shopify backbone, which can help you grow your business, where you don't necessarily have to worry about having a fire sale where your server crashes because you guys have had such, had an excellent marketing campaign and you guys have overblown your server. So this should certainly be able to help you. Does this look like something that would be kind of useful to you? Is there anything that's standing out to you?
Yeah, so I love the idea of being able to access those reports at the same place that I'm accessing my website and the store. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. I can see it being useful for just keeping track of all the things.
Yeah, and not only that, you could do blog posts, you could create marketing campaigns. Like it's a one-stop shop, truly.
Interesting.
So it's you could add all your different social media accounts to this, and all kind of stream from one location. So everything is populated in one area. And
Jamie,
now,
sorry, just quick question, Jamie. Did you mention we have to have someone internally to kind of manage this back end?
It's not. It's more kind of. I shouldn't say. This is technically your website's back end. But this for you would be front facing, as customer line, because this is more back end. So it really doesn't take much to manage it. Just really bring in some potential interns or younger folks, or even yourself if a little bit of comes flavor and get into it. So,
but we need someone to manage this whole process. As opposed to like having our existing shipping company managing that piece of it.
Yes and no. It really depends. Everything is kind of in one certain location. So you didn't have one person that. So let's jump to shipping. No,
But essentially, you get saved based on your volume, and then you can rates. We have relationships with all the major shippers across Canada, US, and local. So we have kind of a purchase of packaging for them. Can provide this distance ship orders, just to say like 47%. Canada, right? Just to have a relationship with us. So we do have folks who can support you, but it would have to be someone on your end, managing your shipping needs and coordinate that as your team. I do know we're running a little bit out of time, but is there any place that we get into now, or do you guys want to schedule something in the near future?
I want to jump in. This seems like this is like a lot, and we're kind of already slammed right now. So what's like a realistic timeline? Just got that new consolidating systems and crowding quite a few people, which kind of concerns me. Getting that done during the holidays, but it makes more sense to push stuff on Q1.
Yeah, there's no rush. You guys go at pace. Not really going there. We're happy to help you guys go at your pace. But yeah, we will need some folks in terms of help kind of drive the ship. And what we can do, we Shopify has customer success managers, but we do also have smaller businesses in Shopify account. They can help on we have online forums, our customers are to support each other. So I think you're all how does that sound?
I think that is my big concern. It sounds like we're going to do a lot of labor to really evaluate this, and we're trying to maximize our time as big, not do the labor as much as possible. So I'm just curious on how you guys are making it easier for us.
Yeah, I definitely answer that question, but I do have our stuff not in a couple of seconds. So I'll send you an email. I'll let you know that you'll have a full support. But I appreciate talking to you, and Sheila, I'll send you a quick email on top of things that you guys can discuss from trouble. That's it.
That's great. You. That was good.
Thanks.
I'm going to jump in there, Jamie. I just paused my timer, and there were 2 seconds left. Well done. You brought it right down to the wire there. I'm impressed. So, good job.
I felt better for shutting down Christmas
Nice. You can let go of your screen now because we're good. But yeah, we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to kind of finish up their notes. That was a great job. You had to make that call, answer the question, run the timer. But yeah, I didn't get to use that gong. Missed it out on the 4th time. Good job. I mean, we did spend so much time talking about how hard that 15 minutes was.
Yeah.
Those are some good, tough questions. There was a lot on the go there. So I see some notes firing in. While they're taking care of that, Jamie, how are you feeling now that you're kind of out of that hot seat?
I know you're right. Shopify, so any questions that come up, I may be able to find my answer, but too much.
There is a lot on the go there. Nice. So while scores are being finished up, typically what we do at this stage is we'll slide in to a little bit of feedback, hop in. There's been a lot in the chat. For those that have been following along, there's a ton of gold feedback in there. This is like a course in and of itself, so this is awesome. Sheila, I know you're keeping an eye on the scores and the process. Would you like to kick us off with the kind of feedback and commentary for the competitors?
Yeah, so I won't take too much time with actual feedback, but I did want to say to the group, holy smokes. Thank you so much, guys, for participating. I'm so impressed. And this demo day had a slightly different flavor because all of you have already been through this before. And it took some deliberate effort on my part to be a little bit more resistant. And that was hard because I enjoy speaking with all. Good job, all of you, dealing with a lot of last minute tough questions at the last second, in addition to the pressure of pulling in our guest judges on the fly like that. Awesome job. And then in terms of triaging, I am going to ask our judges to weigh in. And Joseph, did you have a preference between going recruit by recruit, or did you want to go judge by judge? Awesome. Right on. I'm going to pull my list up. And James, are you in a place where you can offer a little bit of feedback to the group?
Yeah, sure. So what do you want me to start with? Like feedback on the commentary, or do you want to know who I thought who had the highest score for my score? Like, what do you want me to?
I'm going to ask you to share a general overview commentary, and then I'll ask, and actually let's make sure that every recruit gets really solid feedback in general. I'm going to go from the bottom up because Jamie just went, did it's fresh in the mind. So I'll ask you to share general for the group and then specifics for Jamie. Things he did well, things he wanted to improve on, feedback. We'll go through.
Yeah, sure. So overall, I felt like there were a couple of themes. I felt like everybody kind of struggled for the next steps, with the exception of Néhémie. Néhémie, he got the next steps with some seconds to spare. And then for Jamie specifically, I'm not a fan of short-term pains and long-term goals. I don't know why. I just feel like that rubs me the wrong way. Maybe that's just me. But hey, just being honest with how I felt with that language. We can help you with that. You said that a couple times, but then never said how. So I was like kind of left in the breeze, like, okay, you can help me with that, and we'll talk about that, but only 15 minutes. Talk about it now. How are you going to help me with that, right? Moved right to the long-term goals right after she said that. You were like, okay, cool. Thanks for that. We can help you with that. Now let's talk about long-term goals. How do you market your business right now? You asked that question and my immediate thought was like, shouldn't you have done a little research before this call to like know a couple of ways we market so that you could bring that up and then maybe ask if you missed some things? I don't know, just kind of like felt like that might've been a thing. And then some of your answers were a little bit vague and you even dodged a couple because they were a little bit out of your range. Dude, there's nothing wrong with saying that's a little out of my range. When we set up the demo, I'm happy to give you that answer with somebody that's an expert. Right? That's a good way to get to those next steps, super linear. And then I really liked the no pressure approach. We're happy to work at your pace. People buy shit on their own time. So like when you said that, I felt like even if there was some level of pressure, it would have all been relieved in that moment. So I really like how you wrap that up with like, hey, this is your show. You want to fix this problem? We have a solution. We're not going to force it down your throat. But if you want to solve it, we're here to help you solve it. So I really liked that ending. And then the other thing was I would have felt comfortable setting up the next call to get a game plan, like a plan of attack. So I felt like that was the close that I was missing there, was like, hey, on Tuesday of next week at 3:00 in the afternoon, let's connect for an hour and really draw out a detailed game plan of how we can change the game for you. Instead of being like, what's my next steps? Tell them what their next step is.
Thanks so much, James. I'm going to keep going through this list then. I'm going to throw recruits at you guys. So I have Mark. Are you in a place where you're okay to give a little bit of feedback, general? And then I'm going to ask you if you're ready for it to speak to Néhémie because he was just before Jamie.
Yep, I am. So, and I'll tell you, I echo a lot of what James just said. James, you're good at this. So, I think there are a couple things. I mean, there's some simple things that I always love to see right up front. And a couple of you did, I think a couple of you may have missed this, right from the beginning, confirming time, confirming that this is the time we have together. And, does that work for you? Confirming agenda. I know some of these things when you have such a short period as 15 minutes may be harder to do, but that procedural stuff is really, really valuable. I think in general, just the idea of, and this is a big challenge in this type of a role that you all have, and that is balancing there's things I need to accomplish in reaching out to you to really starting to serve a prospect as you would a client right from the beginning. And people just, I mean, we can make it very selfish. Doing that and viewing it that way works. It drives bigger deals, it drives bigger connections right from the beginning. So I think those are the general things I'd like to share. I'll dive a little bit into Néhémie. Néhémie did, you all did a really, really good job, and we all know this is not easy. So congratulations for that. Néhémie did a really, really good job in a few areas. I think, his confidence came out, during this 15 minutes, which I think is important. Another tricky feat, the confidence versus the, being overly cocky, or just, kind of, not, again, focusing on serving the other individuals on the call. But the confidence was there. Rapport building was really, really strong. And also, I just love kind of making it, just pulling out a joke or something that makes everybody laugh every single time you can. And hey, we all do this on Zoom now. Néhémie, you've got this big giant smile that that everybody could see, and you know what, goes a long way. Share that part of yourself, whenever you can in these kind of situations. And Jame, even better, he's got a very handsome, CEO sitting next to him right there. So that, I think in general, all of that is it just showing who you are. And now where we're all doing, calls out of our, our offices and our bedrooms, don't hesitate to share that side of you, because it helps build rapport and it helps you and your client get to where you all want to be.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for so much depth with that feedback. I have next on my list, Drew. And if we keep going up the list, Tanpreet, you're next. So Drew, overarching, and then straight to Tanpreet.
Yeah, that sounds good. Jame, trying to get bonus points there by bringing the kids in. I like that at the very end, a very sneaky move. I would definitely be doing that sort of thing for the All-Stars edition, because it's a razor thin. Oh man, you drew that ahead of time and then brought it in at the end. I know this is all, I can see how it's all unraveling right here at the end. You've been here before, you know what you're doing. Yeah, great job, everybody. That was awesome. I had like kind of nerves the whole time. It was pretty intense. This was like one of the most intense, the most intense demo days I've been a part of. And I'm not sure if it's because you all have been a part of a demo day before, or because it was just like your own product that you're demoing, and it was like your livelihood and like what you do day in and day out. But it felt a little bit more like revved up. It was like the speakers were at 11 today than before. They usually had a 9 or a 10. So I think that was awesome. And also your prospects were a little bit more challenging this time. So it was a great job to get everything done in 15 minutes. So some overarching feedback. I think number one, I didn't hear a whole lot of like social proof. So like referencing existing customers. I know Néhémie, you did a good job of doing that, kind of casually dropping existing customers and that sort of thing. I think that's always nice to like build some credibility from a sales rep's perspective, especially if you're not from that particular industry, but you're able to leverage some case studies, testimonials, kind of talk as if you were sitting in the shoes of your prospect. Another thing too, like when someone books a demo with you, like they came to some sort of like inflection point during their, let's say, discovery of researching tools and options, that sort of thing, where they literally, like, they've actively booked a demo. They've did one demo before with an SDR, or they've just kind of gone to the website and booked a demo. So there's a reason why they did that. And I didn't get that kind of coming out from the prospects of like, why now? Like, why are you interested in learning about what we're doing today? And that can come up in a few different questions, but I think it's important to understand why they're speaking to you today at this particular time in their career or in their life. Another thing is, yeah, the 15 minutes is always tough, but at the end of the day, like, we get on calls all the time. I was on a call earlier today where someone jumped on, they were like 5-10 minutes late to a Zoom call, and they said that today they're just like back to back calls. So 15 minutes seems like a short time, 30 minutes seems like a short time, but that's reality, and people are like bouncing from meeting to meeting. So being extremely aware of that, like, time frame, whatever it is is super important. And I think sometimes you have to adjust your close accordingly. So maybe the point is not to get a confirmation for an order on that first meeting. Maybe it's, you kind of have to change your goals as you're going, because that time frame changes, and to understand, and also to like relate to them and understand that they're going through a different day, and that just that time frame changes. So seems short, but it is a reality. One last thing for everybody. You notice when James jumps on and starts talking, especially on video in this Zoom world, it's like when you're the salesperson, you're there, it's like part of your job is to like kind of command attention and talk and be enthusiastic and like just genuinely care and really be curious and excited about what you're doing. And that really, like, that gets your prospect engaged. They get excited about it. You get excited about it. They say something, you ask a detailed question because you're genuinely excited about learning about it, not just because it's on the next checklist. So like bring that energy, bring that excitement to the table, because that resonates. And especially in today's like video selling world, it's important to kind of bring that energy and make that contact. Okay, Tanpreet, let's jump in here. Yeah, so definitely great at the very beginning, nice rapport, setting the stage. I always like the idea of just kind of pausing, asking if the prospect, in this example, Sheila, she wanted to add anything. I like doing that just in case there's any other priorities that have come up before you kind of jump into your discovery call. You mentioned use case a couple times. I feel like use case is a little bit of a sales jargon. I'm not a fan of using it. I would kind of really try and understand exactly what her role is, the language that she uses in her role, and then like feed that back to her so that you're speaking the same language, because every prospect you speak to is going to speak a slightly different language, even though you're going to be on the same kind of talk track. So important to kind of listen to the words she's using, feed them back to her. You did an awesome job at referencing previous conversation, that sort of thing. You're kind of like getting in front of where she's going. So it almost made Sheila feel like she had to keep up with you as if you were like already part of the team. So that was super awesome. And then there's a couple of questions where she asked questions like, I didn't know that, I didn't even realize there was an automated solution for that, or the quality of our research is not efficient, or something like that. And those are opportunities when someone asks you a question, just like throw a question back at them to dig deeper. Like, I didn't know there was an automated solution for that. Okay, well, why is that exciting to you? Like, would you love an automated solution? And that might get a little bit more feedback, a little bit more detail in terms of what she was actually interested in, what she's actually asking. And let me just see a couple more things. Right. Yeah, at some point you mentioned that the current situation wasn't working for them, and you tied that back into the demo, which was nice. I always like taking notes during the discovery, and then like kind of might not reference them right away, but bring them back during the demo. So that was awesome there. Good job.
I'm so grateful that we're recording this, because we can come back and revisit all of this amazing feedback as well as what's going on in the chat. Bilal, if you're ready for it, I was going to ask you to speak to Ezra.
I am. Let me just say, great job to everyone that participated. Very tough construct, very short time. I want to even ask, did you guys have a chance to see the scorecard that we were using to score you guys on? So you didn't even know, man, that made that exponentially harder then. So really, like, fantastic job considering the construct of the situation. Like, big pat on the back. You guys are legendary for doing this. I think the meta feedback I want to give is, at the end of the day, realize that status quo is your number one competitor. The easiest thing any prospect can do is nothing, right? You're pitching something that's changed, and no matter what change is, it's hard. There's a learning curve to it. It's easier not to do it. And I think all of you really want to think about how you challenge status quo, because at the end of the day, if you don't have people who have a willingness to change, you don't have a sale. Doesn't matter what you sell or what price point or what it is. And in some of the scenarios that you guys had, you had opportunities to really say, it won't work the way you're doing it now. Just to be blunt, like manually shipping just won't work. Not running those tests quarterly or on a regular basis just won't work. I mean, you're just walking down a path of danger, and you just don't put your don't willingly go into danger. Don't risk your business. You can't do this. The question is, what are you going to do next? So that's just a tip of like, always attack the status quo. Really dig into why, if they have that willingness to change, and polarize around that, because that's what's going to get you momentum, and that's what's going to reduce your loss rate, and not have deals go dark and ghost and end up in no decision, which is the number one way deals get lost across all industry. So just think about that. In terms of feedback, Ezra, so I like your composure. I like the control you did. I like even just the minimalist slides that you were using. The areas I want you to think about improving are when you're delivering these points. I think a really more usage of customer stories was going to help you quite a bit. Like I didn't really hear a lot of that, and it goes so far because those are the things we really remember. I mean, think about like the forgetting curve. People forget about 80% of what you said after 3 days. What they're going to remember in that 20% is the unusual things that maybe stood out, like you used the word train wreck, and the way you built rapport I thought was really good. The way you were taking the live notes is probably something that Sheila might remember 3 days from now because it's unusual. So we remember those unusual things, and then everything else kind of just falls flat. So stories is a great way to increase that and combat that learning curve, that forgetting curve, because I'll remember how you made me feel. And if you give me a good story and I can relate to it, that kind of emotional cue will stick in my mind. So definitely think about how you're going to use stories, because they're even more powerful than the demo that you show, because that's the stuff that people are going to retain 3 days and beyond. When she said we use Google Docs, you actually said awesome, which I think is like a classic, like maybe a bit of nerves, but also kind of the seller thing. It's awesome for you. It's not for her. So that kind of language, we do that as sellers. It's like part of the social paradigm. When we get into a sales call, we kind of say things like that. We also say silly things like, I'd be happy to answer any questions for you, and things when we would never say that like to people we like normally speak to, because we don't talk that way. So those little things, like catch yourself on that, because that's part of your composure. Again, you're a professional seller. They're not necessarily a professional buyer. So when you hear something that you really like, that's a great time to actually slow down and stop and really like bite your tongue. It's a hard thing, but concentrate on that, because you'll find more opportunities in those moments when you do have that composure and kind of circumspection. I think also when you drop big numbers, like we save teams 90%, up to 90% of their time, that's huge. I mean, what a stat, right? Pause, check in, let that see what the impact of that is. Does she think that number is crazy? Does she think it's awesome? Something in between? None of that, right? Like those are your magic moments, and every demo has it. Every product has it. And when you unleash the magic moment, let it be like the Disney fireworks, at the end of the day, like let it light up the sky and enjoy it for a moment and like sink in and be like, you tell me, like, what do you think of this? Right? So take that as an opportunity to really dig into that and see if they're on the same page. Are they agreeing? Are you getting buy-in from that? Because that you built up really well to that moment. She really hammered in about how it's just inefficient, and you did a lot of disco on that. So then when you dropped the big stat, it was just like, boom. And then she didn't say anything, and then you moved on. It was like, wait, that was the whole point, wasn't it? The whole like saving time. So just keep that in mind. The other thing I'll say is when she pushed back around the annual contract value and not wanting to tell you, I think you got caught off guard. We all kind of did. It's refreshing, right? Our prospects do that to us. You had a point to that question. What was the point, right? Like drill back and be like, actually, I know you might feel that. Here's why I'm asking you. It's because of this. So if you can't give me an exact number, can you give me a range? Are we talking hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands? Like I really do need to know, because I'm shooting in the dark without that. It's another kind of like salesy thing to ask a question and not get the answer and let it go, because that's part of the social paradigm, right? But like you legitimately want to know, you're curious, and obviously it was going to impact something in your sales cycle. So when people push back like that, push right on back in. Be like, hold up, don't close the door on me just yet. So I think there's just some areas you'll get used to that. And obviously the construct of this was tough, so you didn't have a lot of time to dig into these things. So but just some food for thought on some of those things.
Yeah, +1 to the construct.
Whoa, dude, that was amazing, bro.
Yeah. I am so grateful that each recruit has gotten detailed feedback in this format. We're also going to collect the feedback and notes and make sure they have all of what you said for all of them. And just because I want to keep this on track, Reed and Chris, I'm going to have a different ask for you. I'm going to ask if you can share with us just the primary piece of advice that you would give to this group to take their careers to the next level. And Reed, if I can start with you first, I'm sticking to lists here, so I'll throw that question at you.
Yeah, I would say, and this is something that, because I'm obviously on your guys, I'm not on this side of the table very often, being an AE as I am, so I'm giving demos every day. And I know something that helped me a lot was just a pretty easy fix, maybe easier said than done, but it's just engaging whoever it is you're talking with more. And simply by asking open-ended questions rather than something that can be answered with a yes or no. They're gonna give you more information that you need to close a deal. And also, if you're asking them yes or no, people don't like to tell you no. So even if they tell you yes, it might not actually be truthful. And you'll find that out because they'll go dark on you, or something will happen and the deal won't end up where you want it to. So I would just say infusing more, take the yes or no question, make it a what or a how, or tell me more, or even just pausing, letting them think, reversing their questions and getting them engaged more, checking in, rather than, as we're all prone to do, just going on monologues and then asking a yes or no and then going on another monologue.
Right on. I can't stress that enough. Thank you so much. And then I was going to ask Chris the same question, if you have any advice for these guys for taking it to the next level.
Yeah, 15 minutes is hard, but I really am a believer in layering questions. Like, you need to answer the so what. Like, so I have a pain, so what? So if you can't build that out into how that impacts my business, it goes back to Bilal's point of challenging status quo. Like, it's great that you found pain, but pain without impact is not going to get me to sign. Because I was just buying, sales tools right now, and I have all kinds of pains. Cheers. But we really need to dig into the impact of my business, and then what does success look like for me? So help me kind of world build a little bit more, as in, where am I at today? How is this impacting my business? Where do I want to go? And is there alignment there? And can we get to that together? Because if you can't bring me to the promised land, quote unquote, we've just wasted a lot of time and I'm really pissed off. And instead, you could have just given me like a referral to somebody else, and that could refer business back to you, which is what I do a lot. You want to DQ fast. And that's why I think that world building is so important, to make sure there's an actual fit there, instead of just jamming them through the sales process, because then they're going to ghost you when it comes to pricing and signature of contract. And you're going to get really pissed, and then management gets mad at you for the forecasting. So I think if you kind of get that piece out front, and you get my agreement to it as well, not just like, hey, I think I understand your current state. It's like, if I don't confirm it, you don't have anything from me yet. I need to confirm it. And if you can't get it in the meeting, at least get it in the email follow-ups. But once we have all that buy-in, once we've agreed to all that, now you're project managing, it's pretty smooth. But until you got that point, like, I just think there's always more work to be done there, and you want to de-risk that deal by understanding that entire world environment.
I have literal butterflies thinking about how many of our recruits from the other cohorts are listening to the stream and to the feedback, and I'm so happy right now. Joseph, I'll pass it to you. Are we in a place where we're announcing yet?
Just about. It looks like all those scores are in, and we do have a winner lined up. Just so that everyone knows the process, we're going to kind of announce our winners. Then we've got a couple of housekeeping items, then we'll let everybody go. So this is, of great use of timing, absolutely awesome feedback. I haven't asked for everybody that's in the Zoom room. If you could all take off your mute so that when we're applauding or cheering for the winner, we'll actually be able to hear that. I know earlier we said that it's good to mute yourselves. This is the moment where you can unmute yourselves. And yes, you can gong me if things go over. Sheila, are you, you know who your winner is? You've got that lined up? Okay. I'm going to get a drum roll going, and because the sound effects aren't working in Zoom, everybody here in Zoom, you're going to have to imagine that that's happening. So, as we get ready to announce our winner...
There is...
Sheila, yours.
Néhémie. Hey. Holy moly.
Thank you guys so much. I wish I could have a rematch with Minal. Tell her to come on with the All-Star Part 2. I need a rematch with her. I didn't forget.
There you go. You got it in the second run. How you feeling there, Néhémie?
Man, just honored, blessed. I mean, obviously the judges are people who are either just way past what I would even dream of, or specifically at the positions that I would love to be. I did a lot of research on a lot of the people, and I appreciate kind of you guys' feedback. It actually means quite a lot to me as I'm kind of beginning my tech sales career. Personally, yeah, just I'm lucky because being Uvaro, I got to do a decent amount of practice because I really wanted to win. So thanks to Uvaro and the connections that I made through just the sales community, I did spend a decent amount of time practicing to try to get this done. So 5 P's of success. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So I'm happy that I can follow through and help you guys out. So thank you guys.
That is awesome. And for everyone that's here, thanks so much for... I love the music for it. This is good. I want to make sure I don't get gonged myself. So I'm going to pull up a couple of housekeeping items. For those on YouTube, let me get kind of our housekeeping items slide up, and for those in Zoom, let me get my screen shared for you so that you can see what I'm sharing. A couple of points here that I'd like to kind of bring home. If you're following into this, you're checking our recording of this afterwards. If you'd like an introduction to any of our competitors or grads, let us know. Happy to make that introduction. You can get notified of our upcoming demo days, just like this one, by going to uvaro.com/demo day. Our next event is actually coming up on Thursday, January 7th. That's 9 a.m. Eastern, so that'll be really fun. The last thing as well is if you are hiring and you'd like to get access to our grads as they graduate, we do have a live hot sheet you can sign up for there. And the URL is, of course, uvaro.com/hot sheet. But the last thing that I want to share before we wrap up and give everybody a few minutes back before this time is a big congratulations to everybody who joined us, everybody who made it this far, all of the competitors who came back in. That was wicked. And then a huge, big thank you to everyone for joining us, especially to our all-star panel of judges. This was huge. Your feedback was amazing. I know we're going to save the chat. We're going to save the recording. Chris, Bilal, Drew, Reed, James, Mark, thank you so much for being so generous with your time, your advice, your feedback. For those that joined us on YouTube, we're wrapping it up here, so we'll let you go. Thanks so much. Happy selling, and we'll see you on the next demo day.